The BBC is once again embroiled in scandal. Following the Giovanni Pernici bullying allegations and the multiple controversies on MasterChef, Strictly Come Dancing now faces its own illicit crisis, alleged cocaine use by two of its stars. Now, the broadcaster has confirmed that the law firm Pinsent Masons has been hired to investigate the claims, which were first raised in March 2025 in a legal letter from Russell's solicitors on behalf of a former contestant, Wyn Evans. And according to reports, one cast member allegedly said of another, "Have you seen their pupils? They're off their face." Another source told The Sun it was well known on the show that two stars took cocaine and that this was talked about wildly among the cast. The BBC, in its now standard phrasing, says, "We have clear protocols and policies in place. It would not be appropriate for us to comment further." But something deeper is happening here. It's not just a story of celebrity excess or HR failure. Cocaine is not a random vice. It is, as one person has put it to me, the drug of bankers, with all that involves, that makes people angry, grumpy, and devoid of caring. And contrary to its glamorous portrayal, it doesn't make people think faster, rather it gives them the illusion of certainty. It fuels their arrogance, not their brilliance. Essentially, it gives people the sense of confidence that they have no doubt. And that, of course, is slightly worrying. It makes people talk quicker. In contrast, cannabis, so I'm told, is described by the same person as promoting casualness, reducing anxiety, but inviting apathy and lethargy. And these are not just chemical effects, they are psychological metaphors for two different coping strategies in the pressure cooker of, let's say, televised success. One aggressive and performative and theatrical, the other passive and avoidant. And Strictly Come Dancing is nothing if not a crucible of pressure. Every week contestants must embody perfection under public scrutiny in real time, often after years of being typecast, criticised or simply forgotten. For professionals, their bodies are instruments. For celebrities, their image is a commodity. And in that climate, the need to feel confident or simply numb must be overwhelming. Now, this brings us to the more economic question, why? Why do people who seemingly have it all still seek artificial highs? And here, utility theory offers an elegant answer. You can always use your money for something better, goes the economic principle. But what if the next something better is not a holiday or a house, but simply the ability to feel happy, to feel enough? And that elusive sense of satisfaction, of meaning, is, for many, squandered in the scramble for success, and the superficial glamour of Saturday night telly may dazzle viewers, but for the cast, it may simply be another treadmill. Cocaine is not a disease, it's a symptom. The disease is a performance culture so frenzied, so unrelenting, that even the highest paid feel hollow. Strictly Come Dancing, in many ways, is the apogee of reality TV. What is best about it, and also what is worst. And Wyn Evans' claims and the ensuing legal fallout are therefore not merely a matter of workplace discipline, they touch on something more troubling, the collapse of care behind the curtain. And the BBC has introduced chaperones, tightened duty of care policies, reiterated its commitment to welfare, but so much of this is really just box ticking. The rules do not replace culture, apologies do not repair harm, and the law firms do not rehabilitate broken trust. And most importantly, you don't get back agency by sticking something up your nose. The tragedy here is not the scandal. The tragedy is behind the sequins and the smiles lies a culture still vulnerable to toxicity, artifice and escapism, powdered, puffed and powdered again. And reality TV, and as I say, Strictly Come Dancing is a reality TV show, removes agency. And for somebody who has lost their agency, the allure of taking some sort of drug to compensate must be enormous. And so I think one should be sympathetic to this allure, but it is a direct result of the reality TV treadmill. And the public deserves better. But more importantly, so do the dancers, so do the performers, and we need to demand a better route towards reality TV. The Ofcom rules, which were put forward in 2019 after a truncated investigation into the Jeremy Kyle show and the Love Island show, which was truncated because Boris Johnson called an election early and was never the committee hearings were never reassembled. So in fact, what you got was an Ofcom series of rules, which were exactly the sort of rules that the industry felt they could deal with and had already trialled in programs like the one I was in, which is called The Circle. And those rules are ineffective. They're insufficient. They give the impression of order, but they are box-ticking illusion. And we actually need to have real responsibility taken by production companies, real responsibility for the way that these people's lives are manipulated and changed by being kept in this hothouse of control. So when that control is removed, there is an opportunity for chaos, and very often that control is never quite removed. Whenever you have links with that production company, that control comes back, and that control reaches out. The tentacles of that control continue long after the show has gone. So in the end, this isn't about fame or the loss of fame. This isn't about social media and the nasty trolling that can occur. This is about agency and the loss of agency and the loss or the threat of control. How people deal with that over-aggressive control, which we might call production, we might call bullying. I'm not quite sure what the best terminology is, but it is utterly devastating and utterly transformative. And people who would never have done something in the past now find themselves doing it, and it changes people's character, no matter how short or how long that process of control, that process of production may have been. But certainly the longer that process, the more harm is done, and the more need for long-term support is necessary. It's not enough just to have 18 months of telephone calls from a so-called psychiatrist. What is a psychiatrist anyway? I mean, how do we know they're professionally validated? How do we know they've actually got some sort of qualifications or even the experience to deal with this? We need more than just 5 minutes on the phone once a week. That is not care. That is box ticking. And if when the army take soldiers through something very similar called I can't remember what it's called now, R2I technique to train people to withstand torture, which involves bright lights, it involves commands, it involves removing people from their time zone, and it's often done over a matter of two days or so, but even then there is so much psychological support. In the case of reality TV, this is often done over weeks, months, and the constant publicity, the constant camera, the constant control is utterly devastating. And none of this is addressed in the Ofcom rules. None of this was addressed by the committee hearings in 2019 because the committee didn't hear from more than a handful of very carefully vetted participants. In the Strictly Come Dancing world, they're called contestants. But of course, they are performers who are, in the majority of reality TV shows, being paid a pittance to entertain. And the production companies make a lot of money out of this cheap television. And be in no doubt, Strictly Come Dancing, for all its glitter, for all its makeup and for all the spangles and the feathers, is cheap television as well. It's very good cheap television, but it is cheap television. And somebody is making a buck out of this, and it's not the participants.